What's good, YouTube? It's Kelo. So today's video I'm going to react to is Firebending is misunderstood and the most misused element in Avatar. Let's see, I reacted to water bending, earth bending, and now I'm reacting to firebending, and I haven't reacted to airbending. So hopefully this is going to give us some tips and some good information about firebending. So let's watch.
Hey, how are you? I'm Slice of Otaku, and I know what I'm about to say may sound a little crazy considering pretty much the entirety of the last Airbender series focuses on the Fire Nation to some extent.
God, I
But I
forgot his
can't
name,
help
the
thinking
uncle. I
that
forgot his name.
Firebending is easily the most
I like him
misunderstood
though.
discipline in the Avatar
Zuko.
franchise. Typically, when we think of the worldly ramifications induced by the 100-Year War, things such as the Air Nation genocide, occupation of Earth Kingdom land, and desecration of the Southern Pole immediately come to mind. But I also think it's important to consider the changes such a war would have on the primary aggressor as well. And I think similarly to how the Southern Water Tribe lacked a grasp on what they were like prior to the war, the Fire Nation suffered a blow to their history as well. The reason being that Fire Lord Sozin was a vain man that so deeply believed himself to be making history that he actively rebuked all that predated him. And so a history limited to war and conquest with a touch of good old propaganda is what had been believed by the people of the Fire Nation for generations. Warmongering nationalism became the norm because the concept of an alternative was all but extinguished, with the passage of time only further cementing the deception. All Fire Nation history prior to Fire Lord Sozin was sealed off within the Dragonbone catacombs, and the only reason they weren't completely destroyed is because Sozin, at the very least, had enough sense to recognize that history may provide much wisdom. And considering his fear of the Avatar, I wouldn't be surprised if that's where such a sentiment originated from. But the point I'm trying to make with all this is that the suppression of Fire Nation history, by extension, is the limitation of firebending history. I mean, just the idea of that much knowledge, techniques, and practices being kept from continuing
I like when
on
she does
is
the blue
insane.
flames.
Not to mention the perversion of their culture induced by Sozin's reign. Because of the war, just about everything Fire Nation was made militant, including firebending. In what was almost like a regression of the art, many firebenders wielded their gifts in ways akin to the early fire users of Avatar Wan's time. True bending is the extension of one's own being, not just pushing out flames. And because of this war-crazed state of mind, the discipline was then at large nested in brute force and aggression as opposed to the general cases of the other bending disciplines. But fire has always been somewhat of an outlier amongst the elements, as fire is of course by default the most destructive of them all, often making its inherent lethality a crutch for many unskilled wielders. But fire is unique. One may see the elements of water, earth, and air as the facilitators of life, whereas fire may be the destroyer of life. But another way of seeing things would be that fire is life. As Master Zhang once said, without a bender, a rock will not throw itself, but fire will spread and destroy everything in its path. And this is a duality that far too few are conscious of when firebending. It's what separates the likes of, say, Admiral Zhao and Uncle Iroh. Firebending at large very much lacks its spirituality. Fire has for centuries been used destructively by humans, disrupting the sanctity of many spiritual sites and practices. For instance, the fire sages who were once devoted to the Avatar were made into puppets by the fascist Fire Lord Sozin. But even still, we do get a glimpse at firebending spirituality by means of the Banti tribe's elderly shaman detecting dark energy within Avatar Korra. The negativity and rage of humans has never really mixed well with the spirits, and so I'm sure you can understand why this shift in firebending philosophy would also be a distancing from the spiritual. Those who held on to the ways of the old were forced into secrecy and hiding as a means of preserving their way of life.
Yeah, I'm gonna start watching Korra because I've been slacking off the episodes.
Oh man, lightning bending is to me, hands down,
Oh,
one of the coolest abilities in all of Avatar. The cold-blooded fire is often revered as the most powerful firebending technique, and for good reason. It's fast, precise, and oh so deadly. One must
but I never
possess the ability
understood
to
what does lightning
differentiate and
bending has to do
separate
with fire.
yin and yang energies,
Like,
which
has some
of
type of
course
connection to
requires
it.
a quite skilled firebender. Originally, this style was limited to the Fire Nation royal family, but during the age of Korra, had become pretty common and even used in factory jobs, which personally I wasn't too keen on, as the whole inner peace requirement put forth by Uncle Iroh sort of becomes null and void if someone as confused as Mako can do it. I mean, he even knows how to redirect lightning despite being a kid from the streets of Republic City. But at the very least, it is a testament as to how far the unrestricted distribution of knowledge may go. And I've always wondered if lightning bending could be expanded upon with new or alternative movements, potentially facilitating the lightning for longer periods of time as opposed to sudden releases. And Mako was actually taught the technique by Lightning Bolt Zolt, so I would have loved to learn more about him and how he attained his level of infamy with the technique. But Amon kinda took his bending, so we can't really expect much of him now. Combustion bending is an ability
Yeah,
we
I
still
remember
know
this.
very little about and is extremely rare. Combustion Man, back when he was only a combustion boy, not fully understanding his own abilities, accidentally blew off his right arm and left leg. I mean, I was really hoping we would get more depth to the ability and its history with Plea from Korra Book 3, but it never really happened, and now she's dead, so yeah, we keep getting cut off. The art of firebending was taught to man by the mythical creatures known as dragons. This is a connection which predates the Fire Nation itself with the ancient Sun Warrior civilization. But sadly, those who once enlightened man in the ways of true firebending were hunted down towards the brink of extinction in the name of glory imposed by Firelord Sozin. These people practiced a way of the flame not fueled by malice or aggression, and it is absolutely beautiful. The Dragon Masters Ran and Shaw provided us with a wondrous display of fire's limitless potential and majesty. Despite being in the center of pillaring flames, Avatar Aang and Prince Zuko were awestruck by what they saw. Colors of fire they never imagined possible swirled around them, while also providing spiritual enlightenment. The only other case of uniquely colored firebending we've seen in the series comes from Princess Azula and her usage of blue flames. And I know I already said this about lightning bending, but this is just the coolest thing ever. And with the coloration being blue, her fire was hotter than your typical orange counterpart. But the dragons took it to the next level. With them, we have colors of red, yellow, orange, purple, magenta, and green. Now, in our world, such fires may owe their coloration to the usage of chemicals, but in this case, I'd more so attribute such colors to spirituality rather than science. As for what the purpose or applications of such flames would even be, your guess is as good as mine. And I know a bunch of people tend to complain when things get expanded upon beyond The Last Airbender, but I'm actually really curious what could be done with all this. I mean, even the concept of the eternal flame the dragons first presented to mankind is incredible. I mean, just imagine a firebender producing an inextinguishable flame. That would be nuts. But yeah, as it currently stands, our understanding of firebending has only just scratched the surface. Not only am I insanely curious about its covered up history, but also its future to come. It is a bit unfortunate that the Korra team had no intention of focusing on the Fire Nation or firebending with their continuation of the story, but admittedly it is really understandable considering all that came before. Please be sure to light it up in the comments with all your thoughts on firebending. The support you all showed with the last one on waterbending has been absolutely mind-blowing and really inspiring. I want to make so many more of these videos. So many of you asked for coverage of the other elements, so we're doing just that. If you've yet to see that video, I suggest you check it out and stick around with us for even more Avatar greatness. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.
This was actually a great video, which is good to learn more information about firebending. So since I learned the information and why it's kind of like misunderstood with firebending, up next will be airbending, because I know a little bit about airbending. I don't really know it that much, despite the fact that I watched Avatar The Last Airbender, the first series with Aang. So I only know a little bit because I seen Aang did airbending and talks about the spirits and stuff. But yeah, I'm definitely going to react to that to learn more about airbending. So yeah, if you have any other videos you would like me to see, just comment below and make sure to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.